And we just this and that. Go ahead.
We're up to about 3 watching. We can still hold this for a while. We're coming on.
I'd let it build up, man, for a minute because I gotta. Just checking out something here real quick. I want to read through this. Make sure I got it right.
Go 2 more minutes.
I'll be back in 10 seconds. I'm logging off, I'm logging back on, so there's back
Okay. Okay. Everybody, and welcome to the Front Lines with Dan and Tank. And Tank will be back momentarily. He said he'd jump off and jump back on. And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, cabal, Illuminantes, and all of those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Don't they get it? It should be very obvious by now that, being on the positive side, on the side of life, on the side of good, that it's much better over here. So give up reform your ways. Give up everything that you've been doing. You don't feel good. Not about your laughing and having fun in the moment. You're not happy. So, anyway, that's one of the things that everyone seems to be drawn to in the power, right? Is I think they become happy. The happiness is, enslaving others, or having control over others, and that's what's going to make you happy. And that all comes from a place of fear. I just had Jason try to bump in here. Let me just see what he wants. I just said, hey, I'm on the air. Maybe he wants to come on and talk. You want to join? Let's see. Who came on? Is that you, Tank?
Definitely not. It's me, Andrew.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at my Telegram screen because Jason Harley wants to come on, so I'm just going to go ahead and send him the link so he can jump on.
Wonderful. Well, let's get more involved. It sounds beautiful. So how have things been going in your neck of the woods out there in the Philippines, bro?
Oh, I'm just enjoying the view. Beautiful weather. It's the breezy time. Oh, I should probably shut the door so cut down on that wind noise.
So many things happening at once, huh?
Hang on a second. I'll be right back. There we go. That just cuts down on the wind. So
little tiny heads up. I heard from a bird in the wind that today is Kim Possible's birthday. So happy birthday to awesome Kim.
Well, happy birthday, Kim, if it's true, and even if it's not, all the best wishes. So this would be a good day for funding to take place. Give yourself a nice big birthday present. Take yourself out for dinner. Have a bit of a party. You deserve it.
Well, it's like from what I've heard, they never get a day off. Now, Thomas, none of them really. Not that I've ever heard.
Well, we're 209 days straight. So, wait a minute. Tank's taking a couple of days off.
Something's up. What happened?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on,
man?
What's that?
So, he's taking a couple of days off. Just being a family man.
Yeah, I know. No, it's okay. Things happen. I was bumped off for not having internet. I think twice. No internet a couple of days. So it's all right. We still go forward. Step by step, pushing, and then we arrive, and all of a sudden we're here. So.
Awesome. Give me a moment. I'm going to go ahead and step away.
Say again.
So give me a moment. I'm going to pause and step away for.
Okay, so no problem. I'll just continue on here as there's things to discuss. So I was sent the subpoena that went to Pompeo, Secretary of State Pompeo, from Schiff and Cummings and one other person in the House of Representatives, and they were basically asking about, they wanted to present documents about Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. And as I was reading it, I'm going back and I'm saying, how are they talking about these documents that were from, prior? Did they know this conversation was going to take place? I got the feeling that, their context is knowing that and that they would have known that this conversation was going to take place. I think that they were trying to set up Trump. I think this was their next move. And I think that Trump flipped the whole thing on them. I think that they found themselves, again, as I said yesterday, with their feet in their mouth, both feet squarely planted in their mouths. Don't they look ridiculous? And they're now, fumbling around. Look at what Schiff did. Is he made up a story as to what the transcript said, so because millions of people would watch him and think that. I mean, they're grasping at those kind of straws. They are failing big time. Right, and this is them circling the drain. Right, they're throwing everything out, trying to grab onto something. But they can't grab anything. Trump has them every which way to Sunday, as Schumer said about the deep state or the intelligence agencies. They'll get you, one way or another. But I don't think so. It looks like they don't have any eye in the CIA. It's all lack of intelligence at this point. So they have a very interesting, you can see the positioning of all of the media, the positioning of those that are in government that are now getting out of government. They're not going to run in the next election cycle. We have like a Democrat senator. I still got no other news on that they were raided. I found out that not just Deutsche Bank was raided yesterday, but also Credit Suisse was raided at the same time. So that's interesting. A Democratic senator's raided at the same time, Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse. So I don't know if they're connected or not. Just happened to be the same day.
I smell some sneaky private security sector folks going through their raid.
Yeah, well, this banking activity, let's put it this way, is coming down at a time where Brexit is about to happen. Deutsche Bank is, by default, the central bank of Germany. The EU is Germany and France. It is their economies that carried the rest. And they just basically used the EU, the euro, to really just siphon wealth from the rest of the other countries. And now with Britain leaving, they have to scramble. They're not going to be able to stop it, right? They think they've been trying all their games, but all across the board. Trump at the United Nations. He went through a count of all the different countries that he met with in these couple of days. 36 countries. He met with the leaders. To me, those aren't hey, just let me shake your hand kind of meetings. It's not like the perfect call, which is not, just some generalities of things said, hey, help with an investigation. No, I think they got down to, this is a new world. Come and join this side, leave the cabal behind. And look what Trump did in his speech. He went out there and he said that it's the cabal is dead. It's focus on your countries and your people. build up your countries, and then, he's there making unilateral deals, not bilateral, but, between two countries making a deal. Right? So it wasn't about globalism to everyone's in one big pot and we're all doing well together. That's the socialist model that only leads to the very few benefiting. Every time.
I'm sorry, you said how many countries in how many few days?
36 countries.
Over how many days?
I think just 2 days. That's I don't know how long this UN event went on, but it was at least 2 days. Might have been 3, but however many days it was, doesn't matter. 36 countries, that he met with the leaders of these countries. It's not, why would he be? He's not there to shake hands, right? He's on the move, and and then what follows at the same time? You got this trap sprung on Pelosi and the Dems and all the rest. The impeachment is going to be an albatross around their neck. They already look more stupid than anything. Everything they do is making them look more stupid.
They look very, very clearly corrupt at this moment.
Oh yeah, very clear. Oh well, it's Trump that did the collusion in Ukraine. But no, Biden is the one. He's admitting to it on camera in front of everybody.
Repeatedly.
And
the nerve and audacity of these people, it's just amazing to me. Like, they are counting. You know what? If anybody out there who's on the fence, right? I don't know if Trump's a good guy, or globalism is a good thing, or if everybody should have it, the way that they describe it. I want you to know, from the bottom of my heart, I want you to know very clearly what they think of you. Joe Biden has admitted publicly and repeatedly in front of several crowds of people, in think tanks, discussions, any place where he is the man of the hour and people are asking him questions, he has repeated this same story, bragging about how he forced them with absolutely no reason whatsoever, other than they were pursuing charges against his son's company. And he bragged how he held them hostage. And so now the plane leaves in 6 hours, and if you don't fire that, whatever it is, prosecutor, you're not getting the money. That is quid pro quo, right? That is extortion. That is what they're accusing President Trump of, right? Now, here's what they think of every one of us, just so we're all clear and on the same page. They think that we will hear Joe Biden do this, and we are so dumb that somehow a completely innocent conversation with President Trump, where he has the audacity to tell, these are separate conversations. He's talking about money and about we've done more for you. It's a given that he's giving them, giving them support. There's no, I'll give this if you do this. They're having different conversations. Like, of course, we got you. We've done more for you than anybody else, right? We were hoping Europe would come out, but they didn't. And then he goes, listen, I need you to do me a favor, though. Now, does he have to wait, hang up the phone, start fresh? So this isn't a conflict of interest? Of course not. That's ridiculous. These are grown-ass men having a conversation, world leaders. And he's like, and it's a private conversation, right? He's like, listen, I need you to investigate a potential crime that has been committed because, Joe Biden, he's on tape several times. It makes us look sloppy. I mean, like, he didn't say all those things, but let's just be honest about it. Like, this guy's admitting publicly, repeatedly, boasting about a crime. It would appear it's a crime. Maybe it's not, but it appears like it is. It sounds like Joe Biden did something, and we just want to make sure we know. Okay? Now, that is just that's not even a big deal. It's like, if they would have resisted on that, right, wouldn't there have been some question about, like, are you guys on the up and up? Like, are you legit? Like, wouldn't you want to invest a crime against what looks like somebody who held the previous administration hostage in some way? like you would think.
Right.
It's not even, and furthermore, it's business. It is, at the end of the day, we're not giving aid to the Ukraine just for so we have good karma, right? That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it to support them as our ally. And the whole the idiocracy and the moronic deep state of ignorance, fear, and just elite mediocrity that they live in, they think we have all bought in. This is what they think of us, because they would never do this. But what they think of us is that they have convinced us that it is bad if we expect something in return for the money that we put out.
Yes.
That is not quid pro quo. That is what is called trade. Yes. We are trading money for services. Not only that, but you are trading our money. And I'll tell you what, as the taxpayer, we put that money out there. That is our money. Now you're there. You better sure as hell make sure that there isn't a corrupt organization who wants to do us harm. There better not be a group that would be willing to cover up more crimes of this previous administration, of these kind of people, because those people have had nothing but bad intentions for us. I don't want a man in any kind of leadership who's willing to hurt, damage intentionally an entire country if he has to cover up his son's wrongdoings.
Well, guess what? There's a treaty between the United States and Crimea to share in investigations and crime fighting, right? It was a treaty signed by Obama. So this conversation was all
it's well within the lines of what Obama set up, right?
Right, and I'm thinking, why would Obama want to set up that kind of a relationship where they have to assist us in our investigations? Because they wanted to lock them down and put the Obama controlled FBI in place to oversee things to make sure that nothing leaks out, is the way I see it. But now, with Hillary not there, Trump is there, that same treaty now is in place. So Trump could have said in this conversation, if you wanted leverage, right, in the conversation, there was no leverage. He was just asking a favor. But if he wanted to put leverage, according to our treaty signed by Obama, you have to assist us in this investigation. That would be
right.
It would be leverage, and it would be valid. There'd be no issue of it being like strong arm, other than it is leverage. Is that you're supposed to help us, right? Because we have a treaty.
Well, and actually, it's well within the jurisdiction and the rights based on this agreement as well that you can say, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're sending in our FBI and because that's what has been done in the past, right? And any country who's fighting for their freedom, if they heard the CIA was going to come in to investigate, it's like their worst nightmare, right? Because every time the CIA goes in, their secret military, right? I mean, that's why Gaddafi got stomped out by his own people. And look, I know this for a fact. Right? I actually know people who were directly involved in this, who literally had the microphones in their ear as the CIA was giving them directions on exactly where to go to find Gaddafi when he was in hiding. And they were going there to literally, to literally beat him to death, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And film the whole thing, right? So, it's like, and that was the CIA. It was the CIA that gave them every step of those instructions, right?
Right.
Because he was a threat, not to the people, right? Not to the welfare of the people, which is what we would like to believe. He was a threat to the control of the previous order.
When you think about Gaddafi, now I'm not saying he's a good guy or bad guy, right? But let's just say that he's a neutral guy, did bad things, did good things, whatever. But going back and say what the terrorist things that he was involved back in the time it was like Carter, was it like the time when he was doing bad stuff at the Olympics and bombs and setting off bombs and terrorism, all this kind of stuff. You know, he stopped all that when Reagan stomped on him, right? Now, and since then, you know, he played ball, right? He stopped all of these weapons of mass destruction. He said, "I'm done," right? And then, but he went about it a different way, because who was, you know, he was probably a CIA stooge from back at the time when they were trying to do the first terrorist things. He was probably working with them, and then he got turned. They turned against him. Right? He was sacrificed. Right?
Yes, he was one of the guerrillas trained by the CIA to take over the government in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you know, the CIA was just Marduk's, you know, Sun Tzu's team.
Yeah.
You know, he set up.
So so he said how he's going to screw them over, right? Because he you know, he wanted to figure it out. So as a leader, with all this money flowing in, he put it into gold, right? And he was going to make a gold-backed currency for Africa, number one, right? They don't want any gold-backed currency out there, so all right. But he was doing that. Second, he was going to turn Libya into a food basket for all of Africa and Europe. He was desalinizing water from the Mediterranean, and he was going to pump it in massive 40-foot wide pipes, right? And he was going to pump it into the desert. So he's going to bring clean water into the desert, and he was like so close to finishing these 100-mile long pipes. And that's when they came in and they stopped it. Because if he started to turn that into a breadbasket, they wouldn't be able to create famine.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
The whole idea is it's isolation and control.
Yeah.
Isolation and control. They keep that's why there's no road. There's no roadway that goes from, you know, Africa to the Middle East, right? Like,
hello.
And I know it's because
as a silliness, right? Why can't
you know, Kim has this under construction, you know. Like, she has groups down there, right, that have been building these things. So a lot of the stuff, this is part of like what, you know, when we're, you know, talking about President Trump. Now, President Trump is doing an amazing job with the heart of the cabal, right, here in the U.S. But I remember this conversation, and Kim was talking about this today. Now, President Trump and I are doing the same. We're on the same team. We're working towards the same end. We're here. We're taking down the deep state. He's doing it nationally, and she said she's doing it globally, and she has been, and so many different ways. It's amazing. You know, there's already this the anti-gravitational monorail that we talk about. She's already got prototypes up and running around the world. Right? Now, who knows about that? Who knows where they are? No idea.
I have no idea.
You know, right? She's got. I know. Now, I don't know what progress she's made on these things. I hope I get to be involved in this stuff, but you know, but I know she was building roadways, and the IMF kept coming in with this secret IMF military, right? Because every one of these organizations, they don't just have a, you know, like security. They have their own military force. All of them, right? The NATO military is, you know, the IMF military, the UN. It's all the same group, right?
Right.
They're all trained by the same basic tactics of, you know, all told the same lies, which, by the way, sound very similar to what we're talking about, right? We're doing this for the greater good of the world, right? And that's what they're told too.
Right.
Yep. So it's amazing, really.
But they don't seem like they're really doing good for the world.
Well, they're not. I mean, they're the greater good of the world, you know, in their mind, is for the world that matters, right? Now, if you were looking at about like what actually matters to them, you're looking at the people that you consider valuable, which is not us.
Jason here. How you doing there, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Hey, glad you made it out finally, man.
Yeah, I had a direction, but it was all misdirected. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, yeah. No.
So Jason is from the national. He worked with the National Liberty Alliance, and we've been talking, strategizing a little bit, trying to figure out the best ways to actually bring back the natural law, the constitutional law, and put the power back in the hands of the people.
Well, but maybe Jason, why don't you go through and kind of, since you're first time on, why don't you tell us about what that effort was all about, so people have some context.
Well, the National Living Alliance is working to reestablish common law grand juries. There are 3,111 states in the Union, and the purpose is each county would have its own common law.
Sorry.
Each county would have its own, independent, like it is. And the purpose and the new common law grand jury would be using the same monies that are allocated for the local DOJ, and they would work with the people on the crime that's going on. But you know, the irony of so you go out, someone calls, I got a problem. Investigators, 4 investigators in this team, staff, and they go out and investigate the problems. Now, if time will tell that if they need more investigators, they'll hire more investigators. And the thing is, we are violated daily by one thing that we have one in common that has the biggest majority in the world, and that's our poverty. You cure poverty in our society, you would have the overpopulation in our jails, which has been since the war on drugs, and we went from 300,000 now to 2.4 million, the same amount of federal employees we have in the United States, which is 50% is military. So I'm getting off task.
No, wait. Hold on.
Yeah,
Rewind.
Yeah.
Did you say if you were to cure poverty, is that what you said? That our jails would be overrun? Is that what you said?
They wouldn't be overrun. Because,
wait,
again...
Wait. Hold up. Just so you know, this has been studied. This has been spoken about all over the world. People do not make bad decisions and become poor, and then become criminals. People make bad decisions because they're poor, because they have no other options. If there were better options, you wouldn't have poverty the way you do, and you also wouldn't have crime the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
So that mythology is a cabal tactic they use to convince all of us, like, oh, we're going to clean up everybody so everybody has to go to jail. But that's not really the truth. A majority of the common crimes committed are because people are trying to provide for their family.
Right. But again, because there is no jobs in America, and there's no real jobs that really pay you what you're worth, because nobody in America and the world pay what they're worth. The very man was paid his worth in gold, he'd be very fine off. But unfortunately, inflation sucks that gold out of his ass anyway. Excuse me.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on another Christian station. I did a little thing. I was on Shake and Wake Radio for 2 years, and I was a token Jew. That's okay. I'm a man of my word, and I always kept my mind. I lost it many times, but they said I was crazy. But I went to court. Sat down with a shrink, and she was big. And no, it was a laugh on that one. And I did get evaluated that I knew right from wrong. This is my trial, 15-386. And it took me 2 years and 8 months to suffocate. It was dismissed on December 5th, 2017. And had to go through.
So, Jason,
I'm sorry.
You got a story like so many other of the individuals
Well,
who understand common law. And what happened is you get some trumped up, nonsensical charge brought against you, right? And
right.
Then you have to use everything in your arsenal over years of time, which I don't know how that's a speedy trial, first of all. And over time you finally suffocated. You finally suffocated with constitutional law, But again, how has it changed the system? Right? It hasn't because it's too much. It's too much of a bear.
Well, I just want you to know, everyone out there that's listening to us, I was classified as a sovereign citizen of oxymoron. I was either a sovereign or a citizen. And I was along with Lydia Radin, my good friend and co-host on another show, Crooked Doctors in New York City. And I was targeted with April Cabell, another friend of mine. And we were just giving papers, and our only crime was using the First Amendment right to make the government acknowledge who we are. And the government doesn't do that. You only have 20 days for an action to respond to a correspondence.
Right.
You go to their de facto courts, and our municipal courts are inferior courts, they're amnesty courts, because you go there in the flag with the yellow on, it's an amnesty flag, and how does the amnesty flag come on the land? By fraud, under the color of law. There's no victory in our courts unless you store them. I just won a 7-case summonses for trash in my own municipality. I outlasted them, and I won by default because the inspector didn't come in. But the whole thing was due process. They were 38 days behind, and that's our power. One thing that needs to be taught: if everyone's taught how to act in this incorporated world which we are in, we will beat them. And we don't need a stick. We just need we can suffocate the system. They're 2 to our 300, and it's about numerics. I don't want to look. I'm an ex-Marine era, and I love the Corps, and loving something that wants to love you to keep you alive, and that's important. And that camaraderie is missing in our society. And I don't care who or what you are. I'll stand where I am, and I fought them with my papers. I have documents they wouldn't accept. The clerk must file. I filed so many things. I got them over a barrel. But the real thing is they don't want to recognize they're ill.
Now, Jason, let me ask you a question, because I've been doing a study of all these different. I've talked to hundreds of people who have gone this route. Now, I've been doing a study. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you doing this with? Were you alone?
When I was fighting them for 2 years and 8 months, and at least it took 3 years. It was 3 years and 1 month, a 31 or 4. And Lydia Radin and her crew of pro se's helped me, and they gave me documents to throw at them, and it landed on deaf ears. But it created enough.
When you went to court, when you went to file, when you made any public appearance about this, did you have weight behind you, public support? Did you have a team that was backing you up? Did you have outside of giving documents?
I just had me, myself, and I, Lydia Radin, and my friend Terrence. But again, it was a small thing, and it's just saying, no, look, what's so cool about this whole fight? I don't feel any ill will to anyone, because I won, and I knew I was going to win because I had Lord God on my side. The power of God, wherever you are, whatever creed you are, and you believe in that faith, and you are good, and you don't want to hurt anyone, you are a very powerful man. It's I've had the opportunity to strike someone down dead. I didn't have to, and I'm very thankful. At the age of 66, I haven't had to kill anyone in self-defense. And
so let's talk about this. Okay, so I often hear this, right, and I agree. We have the power of God on our side, right? So
yes,
the scriptures say that it's the Father both to will and to do. When the Messiah is on earth, when he's casting demons out of the earth plane, you know where he's casting them out of? Out of people.
Yeah.
When they talk about the Holy Spirit and where it is, you know where it is? It's in people.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned, when we talk about God being with us, that means it's the people. And
Right.
what it will take is for the God in me to respond to the call from the God in you when you need help. Now, the problem and the reason why we don't trust each other is because we don't believe that that's what it is. You know, we
Well,
put God outside of ourselves because that's how they trained us.
You know, the thing is, my take on Christianity, the purity is not there, and the love of Jesus has been placed and made materialism, and that's what we're losing. It's not what's in for you; it's what's in it for us. I mean, the power of a team to work with, even if it's only 3 people, you got yourself a team. You're dangerous because the pie is always continuous. And Jesus died with 2 other men, and that became 3. And the power of 3 is always with us. And the funny thing, in my life path, I'm a 3. But we have the power to do it. I mean,
so we come back to Christianity, right? All right, and we're going to bring that up. I'm always going to talk about it. So the entire Christian faith is based around this concept that I'd ask you, well, hey, are you saved? Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior? And you'd say to me, yes, I have. And I'd say, how do you know, Jason? And you'd say to me, well, because I know that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Now,
right.
Here's the problem. And I'm telling you this and every Christian out there, because I was raised Baptist. I was a minister for 23 years. I understand what is happening here. Now, I'm going to tell you what the reality is about this. First of all, the Messiah died on a cross.
Right.
Now, in that time, when he died on the cross, it says it was the Jews, right? The very ones who were following him. They put him up there. Now, think about this. In his weakest moment, we all say we have salvation. But
right.
in reality, where the real salvation is not in the coming down, it's in the rising up. Because what happened is, the Messiah was buried for 3 days. Then he raised from the dead. Then he poured out many signs and wonders for 40 days on the earth plane. Then he ascended on a cloud into the heavens. And then, as they waited in the upper room on the day of Pentecost, he poured out power from on high. Right? Now that's the way the scriptures read. Right? Now that's exactly what's in the scripture. Now the power he poured out from on high was the permanent indwelling of the Holy Spirit. Right? When they came downstairs, they had the ability to heal. When they spoke in tongues, it wasn't a bunch of gibberish. When they spoke in tongues, every man heard them in their own language. In other words, it was a universal spiritual language that anyone could understand, that no one could deny. Now, everything I'm telling you is in the same Bible that every Christian uses, but every Christian stops at the death on the cross. They'll wear a cross around their chest that celebrates the death of the Messiah rather than the resurrection. And really the true resurrection is the Holy Spirit in you. Now,
right.
I'm just saying that's what the actual scriptures say. Now, you can interpret that any way you want to be, use that however you like, but my point is this. Where we get lost, we look at God as being outside of us, which is not what the scriptures say. We are looking for something mystical and magical versus just people standing together. Because when it comes right down to it, when they're going to do something, where's the power at? It's in the people. It's not just in me, it's also in you. And that union, it says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is confirmed. So when it comes down to what's happening right now, the reason why you made it free at what I'm sure was considerable cost to your own self, a considerable amount of money that you had to afford, and a lot of hours of research, and possibly a lot of threats and all types of things. There was just brutal fear of going to jail, all types because you were on the defense, right? Because they accused you because they knew to come and put you in a situation.
I'll just say this: I didn't fear I was going to go to jail because I knew I wasn't going to jail because it was so trumped up, and I in my life, I mean, God, the Great Spirit, I mean, the entity, the energy that I have in my life. I don't believe what people say because it's up to me to do what I have to do to prove that who I am. You're talking to a person who is self-made in my own way, and I am an achiever. And anyone that says I can't do it, I'll show you I can. Because I believe in myself, and I believe that God has sent me as an emissary here on earth to be one of the people, and to direct us to the promised land is here. God, just look at America. Oh my God, just look at the planet. I mean, Mother Earth is so good, and man is so wasteful. Man is supposed to be the ward, the caretaker of this great planet. The Native American Indians did a fantastic job in North America, and their life, and we are the descendants of the Native Americans. Anyone who lives in this life has the spirit of that great spirit, and we have that on our hands, and the power. And I ask the Lord God, give me signs, give me proof that I need to prove something. And it showed me I live in the state of New Jersey. I have 21 counties. I was able to pick up 21 stones of New Jersey. And I kid you not. And the thing is that there's going to be 21 people on the council that we need to create. And it's all there, and it's all about peace. It's about peace and prosperity. Because if I make people laugh, I don't want to see you ill. I want to see you happy. And, and you make your own well for yourself. You want to be out of your well, you want to be drawing on your well to make you wealthy. And the wealthy is your spirit and how you make people react. And what you're doing, Dan and Tank, I commend you. I mean, it's nice to have your voice out there and trying to enlighten the people to wisdom and to life and to apply ourselves. It's the power of one. It only takes one ball to blow out a field of mousetraps with the ping pong ball.
Ping pong ball, yeah, sure. Well,
reaction.
Anyway, so Jay, so we understand you've had this experience, man. You obviously you've taken big steps. You want to have an impact, obviously, right? So you got 21 people ready to go. Now we've looked at this, and I've been reaching out to the assembly. I called every number you gave me. Couldn't get a phone call, couldn't get an answer, couldn't get a single person to talk to me, right? Couldn't get on the phone.
But I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I apologize.
And now we got the National Assembly up there in Michigan. Now they're a beast. I mean, they got 400 plus people on the council. They got councils all over. Now these are two organizations that are completely separate, but they both represent the people. Now we can't have a country that has 9 different versions of the people's government, right? So I would have to believe that at some level they're competing for whoever gets this done first. So in my opinion, which and I feel very strongly that I'm right about this. The problem, as much as the solution, they're both in the collective of the people. Now, what it requires is for us to come behind one voice and agree. Now, I'll tell you what, I think both of those groups have a good system. I examined both of them to see how they work. Now, the idea of having 4 permanent positions in every county of administrators who have paid positions, I think is very intelligent. It's a great idea because then you have people that are constantly governing who have authority that are looking into these matters, and they're the ones who basically say, hey, look, we need to call. There was a grievance here, and we investigated it. It's legit. We need to actually call a grand jury for this, right? And that definitely works. Now, the other thing would be is if they need backup, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how the assemblies work because I haven't been able to get all of it. But I know that they want to call these assemblies. I believe they need to have 16 to 30 members on an assembly, and obviously they have more people in that involved in 30 states, so that they have enough of a force behind it where they have a majority, where people have stood up and they're bringing these grievances of the people to court to challenge the courts that are currently in place, these UCC courts, these admiralty courts,
Mm-hmm.
right, that are run
Right.
by
Mm-hmm.
Universal Commercial Code, and take
Mm-hmm.
them to task and say, these things that you are imposing, these are laws that violate our constitutional rights, and because they violate our constitutional rights, the people have a grievance with that because you work for us.
Right.
This was just said the other day. That gentleman,
Ooh.
one of the guys from Border Security, he told that woman in Congress,
Oh yeah,
he
you
said,
work
"You
for
work
me."
for me." I was like, "Whoa, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, you do."
She, and
Go
she
ahead,
was
man.
and she was stunned.
Yeah.
She was stunned.
So, I mean,
She was, you know what? She's like, "How does he know that?" Right? Because they're so used to imposing their will on us. They're so used to
Right.
us being so ignorant and backing down every time. Now, so what's the key element? The key element is to educate the masses, just like you said, Jake.
right, and do it with fervor, and be there, out there, and be alive. Hey, the best way to beat your enemy is to be better than them, and that's what really scares the establishment. Being better than them. The establishment, when it was during the Vietnam War, which we called it, and it was an establishment because again, it was all a plot to keep the people separated. As a Marine and even a young kid, I said, you don't start wars to lose them. All right, we started a war. We supported the Vietnamese, and we continued to be the Tonkin, the big cover-up. Oh, they're attacking our boats. Let's attack them back. And they did. They escalated and lost 57,000 men, and not even including the guys who died from Agent Orange. And my wife's husband died from that.
Come back. Come to the point, because my biggest concern with all you guys know so much, right? You're such a bank of knowledge. But your train of thought, I'm trying to focus on more.
I'm also a historian. So.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
go ahead, man.
Well,
Go ahead.
Again, the whole thing, just to get something about for the audience, I have been called retarded at age 14. Was so retarded, graduated high school and college in 6 years, 8-year program in 6 years. Went on for 2.5 masters. Became an educator. Was always called a philosopher, and I just want to be of service. As a good person, being of service. And if every person brings two, and that service grows, that's magnificent. If we get more volunteers to say no, and that's the power. You can when you put your papers in, Dan and Tank, do it and make sure you make double copies and make sure you use every law in their book because you can't beat them. Oh, this is very vague and this is erroneous. And if you're very specific with the laws that you're using and the results, that's the case that you beat the hell out of these pigs. Purposely instituting greediness, self-servers. That is a new pig. It used to be pride, integrity, and guts. Because we are policemen and we needed to defend our country. They get with the FBI, giving false information, and shooting down as many Black Panthers as they could. And that's a proven fact. And Chicago Willie, his last name, was assassinated by the police because they had weapons. There was no weapons in the house. They deliberately fired in the bedroom. So, hey, back to you, Tank and Dan.
Hey, I want to ask you. I just want to inform you that one of your other members of Liberty Alliance, his name's Carl Appel. He also contacted me, and he says that he knows you, but he hasn't heard from you for a long time. So maybe you might want to touch base with him.
What was his name? So I'll be able to get there.
Carl Appel. I can send you his email if you like.
Yeah, send me his information. If I should, if you have a phone number, anything, tell him. NLA. And what state was he from? I was organizing. You know, it was really funny. I was having fun organizing the people and getting them to understand what's going on. And then we had someone that had the ego. So you can't do this without my consent. It said, "Hey, without due process, you're out of rent." And one thing that is very important in our society Robert's Rules of Order. Everyone should have that in their handbook. And there are three things that I would want you to have: a dictionary, a thesaurus, and a world almanac. World almanac has everything you need. A dictionary is to make sure you clarify what you're using for a word, and a thesaurus is to make sure you're never boring.
Yeah. Good advice.
Again,
Good advice.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever be boring.
Well, but again, that's what I always wanted every one of my students to have those three things. That's not inexpensive. That's like, that's about $20-$30 for something decent to carry around in your bag, and that's very important. I mean, literacy is the biggest challenge that we have in becoming self-sufficient. You have people out there that cannot read, not because they don't want to, because they have a learning disability. Dyslexia affects 1 in 5 people. It's like ADD, 1 in 5. And we educate people to think right, to have empathy, and to know that, hey, you're only so many paychecks away from being hungry and homeless ourselves. I mean, right. How many times is everyone out there in Radio Land that have gone with having a bill get hit for you, and you get hit with a fine from the bank? Well, you're overdrawn. Well, I like to be drawn on, but never drawn off.
So that's good. That somebody else from the National Liberty Alliance reached out.
Yeah.
What I have noticed in our research, we've got a few teams that are researching this now, right? And everybody. What's that?
I'd like to get with them.
Yeah, no, I'm going to connect with them actually probably tomorrow. But they've been researching just to try to find out who can we even speak with, right? And connect with who. Jay and I talked on Friday, I think, and we were kind of going through this.
We need the real thing that really needs to be. You can't confront a beast unless you're well armed. And I would suggest in our alignment to better country is the Oath Keepers. They will not fire on fellow Americans. They are law enforcement and firemen and plain veterans and people in general. And we need to have we need a militias to be reactivated. I tried to get New Jersey militia activated, and they told me go to hell. We got the National Guard. No, I'm sorry. That's a federalized 1903. It's regulated. So I'm underregulated. Not that I don't want to be irregular.
Now, and according to Black's Law, every individual indigenous to this country who's been born within this borders is part of the militia. And as part of the militia, we are all responsible to make sure that we define the line that they will not cross, right? And this is right out of the Black's Law book. I mean, this is a known thing, right? Now, what happens what happens is you have your veterans, right? Now you have your armed forces, right, for the military, the various branches of the military, and they go off and essentially, now this is just fact. You can fact check this. I know I was the first person to bring this out publicly, but it's true, and I've verified it several times from the highest sources on the planet, and that the Chinese elders were paying the U.S. military for 3 years. So the U.S. military was taking orders from them. This included the white hats who were part of things, and they were also very much, of the belief that the Chinese elders were benevolent, and so essentially we had gone bankrupt, and we were bankrupt as far as everybody knew to the Chinese, right? Now that's not true, actually. The real debt we owed was to the trust, to the man of the world holding trust, and that is the really where the Federal Reserve was housed. So we continued to pay our income taxes to the Federal Reserve, and not a single dime of that money has ever gone to the government to do anything. All of that money went directly to the Dragon family, the Rothschilds, and the various factually there.
It just to point out, of 100%, you're lucky you get 30% on your tax dollar for services. And the irony is, the IRS, if you are a nonprofit, not-for-profit, you have to spend 80% on your clientele, your admissions, and 20% for your administration. I don't even think the government. It's funny at a 70% inefficiency rate. So just point information to people. And here's another factoid: the amount of Americans. I like the word inhabitants because you are indigenous to it. A resident is a person who travels from point A to point B. So say you're an inhabitant and has more power. Remember, there's doublespeak from 1984. A good war is a war against the other person. I'm just paraphrasing. Because war is good. Why? Because it keeps the people from focusing on their misery. We got country A is going and country B is there. Oh, where? You got life, but they're nowhere. Now they're enemies. Rewriting history. It's horrendous. And since 1946, we've been at war. America's been the Nazi hybrid since 1946 with its trust and its power and its paranoia. I mean, Russia was no way in wanting to be at war again. They have lost 27 million of their people, which they were killed anyway because of what Stalin his way. Stay at the front, or we'll kill you when you get back. Excuse me? All right, I'll die in the front. Thank you very much. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah. So anyways, Jay. So now, here's my question, right? So I look at these organizations, and there's a couple of issues that I have with them because I don't claim to be an expert in these things. I know enough to get by, and the things that I do know, I generally know very well, and I know where they fit in. Now, I also know of higher orders of government that exist on this planet that govern our government, and I also know the secret societies that control them, and I understand their resources and what currently, for the first time in history, how those resources are greatly diminished. I also know that for the first time, you have the same one who supplies the resources to the government and has paid these salaries is no longer in favor of this type of hierarchy that has existed, that has allowed attorneys and judges essentially to run our country and run things however they see fit. Now, this is the reality that does exist, and in fact, the Bar Association is actually banned. It's not supposed to be allowed in America at all. They are operating as foreign agents on U.S. soil. They operate under a British Crown system. This is well known and well documented, yet we all accept it. Now, with that being said, the only option, the only way to change this is to change the collective understanding of the people. When the people realize this is a government that draws its power from the governed, that would mean that the governed have got to stand up for what it is that is valuable to them, to their families, to their communities, to their religious freedoms, to their freedom of speech, to the integrity of the press, which, to be honest, the integrity of the press is much more important than the freedom of the press to say whatever the hell they want. There should be integrity behind it if they're going to call themselves a news organization. And these combined factors obviously have created the world and the debacle that you're seeing play out in front of you. Now, President Trump is doing an excellent job as a representative for the first time of the people, right? For the people. And he's there fighting all the time. And what the people, the masses, generally don't realize is that he is advocating for their best interest, while the other side, all they have is the power of rote repetition. And by repeating things in a rote way over and over and over and over again, after a while, we accept those things to be true. So they say, they just keep repeating the word impeachment. They say unlawful. They keep saying these things. And after a while, because they have a platform and because they're allowed to perpetuate their ignorance, we all accept it as true. And then the big delusion is like people like Adam Schiff and Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Kamala Harris. they all start to believe in their own self-righteous indignation that they have the right to do whatever the hell they want because they're acting in the best interest of the people. Meanwhile, they know the real agenda, but they get so caught up in the role they're playing that they start to believe that these things actually have meaning. But they know that when the data was submitted by the scientists to the EPA, that they modified the data to create the myth of global climate change, right? But because they've been read in this very elite society, right, that it seems that there's a few million people and you're part of it, right? So you're special and you're going to be saved. But to save you, we have to kill off everybody else. And so that's, and they told them, they sold them this bill of goods that, look, you're doing this to save humanity. And I cannot say this enough, and no one else can either. This does not save humanity. We are not overpopulated. There is not global warming. These things are mythological. They were created by a force trying to kill us all off.
Well, I'll just say this as a subtitle. There is something happening in our environment. There is a change in the environment. We're polluting it, and we just lost 3 billion birds in Canada and the United States. For whatever reason, there's a pollution in the air. And let's face it, birds are very sensitive to the environment. And when cold spring came in, Silent Spring came out in the 60s by a biologist who died of cancer, and it proved that the DDT was having an adverse effect in the early 60s, and eventually it was taken out of the market. We are poisoning ourselves. But something's going on in the environment. And I'll say this about Trump. I like the fact that it had 2 times to go to war, and I bless him for not falling in that crack of showing chauvinism. And it takes a big man to walk away from a fight. And are we in agreement that I can beat the hell out of you, but it doesn't mean I'm a better man. It just means I got to jump on you. I don't need to jump you. I need to say, sit down and talk to you, right? Connect. And that's what's missing. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're listening.
Well, sure. Look, I mean, yeah, no. Well, okay. There's 2 issues there. The first one is the global climate. Yes, there is an issue with the climate. There's an issue with the climate as far as there is a frequency and a vibration that exists on this planet, and there is an authority or an delusional authority, both, that is perpetuating this idea behind a global climate crisis. It is not because of water bottles or because of trucks. And it's certainly not because of people or because of cow flatulence, okay? It's because of suppressed technology that can easily change these things in a year. We could have free energy and wipe these things out. We could replace every shipping container with that causes most of the, not shipping container, but the shipping boats that actually create a majority of the actual pollution in the air. And there's 6,000 of those ships. And we have one of the people in our network who has designed a ship that will run on seawater and will emit zero.
There we go. Can't talk about that. That's too secret. We're run on seawater.
Well, I didn't actually. That's not a secret at all. Actually, it's called hydrogen generators. And that's been around for a long time.
I know. I was joking because this happens quite a lot. But at these times that we're talking about something pretty interesting. Hey, I want to. Yeah, listen. I'd like to make a comment about one of the things that you said. You brought up DDT, and just a little side comment to it is that I understand it's a poison, and it was used, but the reason that it was made illegal had nothing to do with it weakening the bones of birds or their bones of their shells. That was all out of a fiction that was created in a book. And they took that and they made that the reason why to get it off the market because their patent was expired. So that's all it was, and it also was the main way to get rid of bed bugs. And now there's a resurgence of bed bugs, and they can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
And not to say that you shouldn't respect poison from the standpoint of treat it in a very caring way. You don't overuse it. I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is that they like to just feed us so much false information, and we go off, trying to bang them over the head with the things that they want us to go out and be angry about, so that we're in agreement to stop using DDT. When it was just really, they can't make money from it anymore, and all these other companies would be able to create it, and so that's why it was made illegal. No other reason. The rest of it is just a false story. And that particular poison was quite effective and works really well. But it was made illegal, so you can't use it anywhere. We have to look for truth in the way that things operate. And if things are told to us as a lie, the people that tell those lies should be held responsible, even for the total everything that comes from that.
Am I interjecting? I agree. Hysteria, media should not create hysteria. Media should report what's going on. But all the news that's there is created by the American Black Ops, the CIA, and other cohorts. And we need to stop feeding the beast with war. And if we start feeding people of love and then say, hey, who needs help? I like to see everyone's army become grand builders of bridges. I mean, the reason why the Sahara Desert is so dry, every 10,000 years the earth shifts. So, 10,000 years ago, within 100 years, it was dead. Just back to you guys.
Actually, the reason why it's dead is because there is an actual force on the planet that decides when they want to create a famine or take a jungle and turn it into a desert. And they've been using these weather control devices and this quantum mapping system for 100,000 years, believe it or not, but for a long time, to manipulate these things in any way they see fit. Now they know this. They talk about this in their hierarchy, and they discuss these things while we sit down here ignorantly trying to figure out what they're doing. Now, I'll tell you what. You were talking about things. ADHD affects 1 in 5 people. You said, and what is it? You said dyslexia affects 1 in 5 people. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Ignorance affects 100% of the people.
Right.
Ignorance affects everyone because whether it's my ignorance or someone else's, it affects me, right? Because now policies get put in place, people don't know what's going on, and because we have allowed ignorance to perpetuate and become a standard, we all accept that there's all of these clandestine secrets, all of these terrifying realities that the public can't know. And because we embrace that ignorant theology, we have unknowingly been fueling them. Whenever someone gets killed who cures cancer, right, the 45 scientists who realized that vitamin B17, which has now been made illegal in the United States, when they realized that vitamin B17 would create a selective binding poison that would attach to an element that's only in cancer and would then create like an arsenic that would break it up, and after that was gone, it would naturally dissolve back into the body. What did they do? Well, they killed off all those scientists, right? Because we were keeping it a secret. And then, now, you can't even get real vitamin B17. If you got vitamin B17, it wouldn't be the right kind. And they tell you it's an apricot seed, but it's not even there. It's really in marigolds, one of the most common flowers. You can get them anywhere. Right. And they're doing all these incredible studies on it up at the University of Buffalo, or Buffalo State, one of those two. And they've shown it. So what do? That information hit the internet. It was buried within a week. Now, this is what happens all the time: is they are burning books. They are changing history. Not only history, they are changing our current reality by changing what we are allowed to know. Now, the things that they prevent us from seeing the most are the things that are able to empower us to save our life. So what they will do constantly, and this is what they've done with all the common law groups, is they've taken these very real efforts, reminding people what the Constitution is and why it's so important, why it is not, just an also-ran document. It's not just some piece of paper. It is the most intelligently written human document in history. It combines everything in it to make sure that our rights are protected. And we are right now in the midst of a constitutional crisis where you have someone like Governor Cuomo who can be so corrupt, so obviously corrupt, that it's undeniable in any court of law. Matter of fact, we have them right now on RICO, that we have all the evidence we need that we could show how there is a criminal racketeering, organized criminal faction that is running the CDC, the FDA, in concert or in cooperation with the various state governments, including California, including New York, and others that I just don't have on the tip of my tongue right now. But New York is probably your best bet, because they take away the liability, right, for the drug companies and the FDA and the CDC for prescribing medication that they know for a fact causes death because they've paid out on it. The government has paid out on death claims because of vaccine. It causes autism. How do we know? Because the government has paid people. They've paid people damages because the vaccine caused their child to develop autism. So we know this. We have it on RICO. For a fact, we have it documented. We know that they didn't follow the congressional mandate, which dictated they were supposed to have reports that were done every 2 years to show that vaccines were safer and more effective. We know that there's sworn statements that have already been entered as false claim reports by virologists that work for Merck directly. And the Merck virologists were told to spike the results with animal substance or animal cells, so it looked like the MMR was actually creating antibodies, which it was not. We know these are facts. So when it comes right down to it, we have to take it back to the law before the law, because they violated their congressional mandate. Now, I'm putting this out there for all the common law experts who know this better than me, because I'm telling you, no one is putting these pieces together, because I've been in a dozen different meetings listening to attorneys. There's lawsuits going on all over New York. Parents are in an uproar and terrified. Meanwhile, the attorneys are doing what I consider to be what attorneys do best. They're delaying. They're stalling.
Of course. I mean, they do that. I mean, I survived. I'm in the back in my yard. There's an example of a stalling. 5 years go by. I'm part of a class action suit with Honeywell in Jersey City, New Jersey. I'm within 500 feet of the dump, and I get $3,000 after everything's done. Everything went to the lawyers. $700 an hour. Yep. I mean, to what? To bicker? You got to wait that long, and it's terrible.
Well, that's why
the problem with that. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say that they get paid to argue, so they keep arguing and arguing and arguing, and it goes on for years, right? Because they're paid to argue.
No.
They're also paid and loyal to the British Accreditation Registrar Registry.
Right.
Not only that, I'm just going to briefly kind of just mention this, is that not only that, they actually outright will do everything they can, publicly, privately, for anybody who decides to put the research together, like, what was his name, Tank? Ron Davis?
Yep.
They like to accuse people and this and that and slander and then incarcerate and put on probation and just outright just destroy and disregard someone's constitutional rights, because not enough people are standing up and standing together and doing this.
Well, now it's absolutely true, because now the attorneys, I know this directly from former bar attorneys. They told me outright that they are taught from law school that you are better than everyone else. You own this country. That you are the law. That you are the one who decides whether or not someone goes to jail or stays out. And the entire thing is run by UCC codes and various mandates and different pieces like this that are set up. And what happens is, in the process, we have allowed them to go so far to violate the law of the land, our constitutional rights, which are the only thing that really matter, because that's the only law. What they are is a body that is operating on U.S. soil as foreign agents. They are corporations. Now, because they are registered as corporate entities, they have to take an oath of office. When they take that oath of office, they swear that they will uphold the Constitution against enemies both foreign and domestic. Now, as soon as they start to pass any kind of law or attempt to do so, because they don't have the right to do it in the first place, that violates the people's constitutional right, they are now in violation of their own contractual agreements. Therefore, UCC codes no longer apply. This is happening right now. Now, we can prove this beyond any shadow of a doubt. We have it written. Now, the best way to go probably with it, for the little that I know about it, is through the RICO side, because in RICO, if you have it in writing and it's verified and timestamped, and you can prove that there's multiple laws being broken that are leading to a criminal racketeering faction or system they're using, then you could show that, well, hey, you don't have to take it to court because the facts speak for themselves, because they're so obvious that anybody can see them. Now, right now, here's the last piece of the puzzle. The CDC and the FDA, they are the regulatory authority on whether or not a drug is safe. This includes vaccines. But at the same time, they're also the ones who own the patents on the vaccines. And they get a kickback from every single one written. Now, how on earth is it possible that the CDC and the FDA are able to mandate the usage of unproven drugs while making false claims, taking away our right, our humanitarian right to informed consent without having a properly tested drug, which means because it has not been properly tested, that means that what they are doing is they are using the public to experiment on. Now, if they are using the public to experiment on, they are required to inform us of all the side effects. Now, when you hear somebody talk about it'll immunize you, that's not true. They need to define that, because that's not true. And they can't prove it. You know how I know? Because if we ask them for the reports, they don't have them, because they haven't done the study. When they say, do they ever talk about, look, vaccines definitely, definitively cause autism. We know this does happen. Do they talk about that? No. Everybody speculates, but no one talks about the fact that the government has paid out on autism. Does anyone talk about the fact that in the PI, that they kill people? No, nobody talks about that.
Well, again, on one of the other points of the pharmaceuticals, the FDA is supposed to actually do the same testing. So you have two corporations doing their test on it, and the FDA would be Radiant. Also, now it's only a two-way race. So without the third person, which balances out, is null and void. I mean that RICO scam with the CDC and FDA need to be applied because they're in violation. I mean the whole point of working together as a people is a contract. Remember, a contract is I give you X and I get Y, and we zoom off into our own direction. The real problem is that it's an implied contract, and you're always raped. All your law, all your rights you have rights to travel, but you don't have a right to drive. Okay, the thing is that if you're going from point A to point B, and you're doing it for yourself to go to work, are you being paid? No, you're not a driver. A driver is a person who is hired to do a task to go to point A to point B for a client. He's employed. You were not. Back to you, Dan.
But if they ask you for your driver's license, then you are basically admitting that you're a driver.
No, I've actually handed I have an American passport card. When I gave it to a sheriff, he said, well, I'm going to give you a ticket. I said, well, I don't have to give you my driver's license.
I wasn't speaking. I meant the figurative view, meaning that if anyone is asked for their driver's license, and you give it to them, you've just said, okay, yes, I'm driving, meaning you're admitting that you are now a driver and paid.
They throw you out, and the thing is that you don't have, there are 20, just bring it up, there are 27, there's an article about 27 cases, and even the Supreme Court and others say, you have a right to travel because it's your part of your prosperity. And you can't be prosperous if you can't travel. And a driver's license is a commercial implied contract.
Right.
Remember, an implied contract is only one person benefit. You're the best driver for 20 years, and all of a sudden you have an accident and it kills someone. All right, now you can't drive anymore. Your license is suspended. But technically speaking, you were just you weren't driving, you were traveling.
Right.
And again, UCC codes. You go back to UCC codes. Everything that is mine. But they turn everything into theirs because you are the beneficiary of your trust. They are trustees and an administrator. And they turn it around and you're paying for your house. But if you're not paying for it because it's already been paid for in the monetized mutual funds that the birth certificates supply back to everyone.
Right. So we can get in real deep there. So maybe we want to swim to shore right now.
but this is what I mean. Like, this is the problem that we're talking about, right? So with all the guys, all that stuff's great. How does it help me? Because right now it doesn't help, right? Because what it does, people start going out, telling cops like, I don't need this, that. It's just going to cause problems, right? So we need to go in, number one, enforce and organize. We need to make sure that we have a clear path to take down anything that we want to do. So that's why I'm laying out this path for the vaccine, because it is current, it is relevant. Every single law I'm citing is accurate. It's right now. Right? There is an established rule of jurisprudence that you cannot, no state can create a law that violates our constitutional rights. That's the way it works. And it's what is it? I can't remember what it's called, but there's Supreme Court precedents for this. This is a fact. So we have everything we need right now, just on that one alone. Now, here's why that is so important. Is because some people might be like, well, I think the vaccines work. Well, first of all, you're wrong. But let's just say there's a possibility that we could argue this. It's fine. If you want to argue that, then let's get the CDC and the FDA to give us the 33 years of showing that they're safer and more effective. Now, they can't. So all we have to do is attack that specific law. Because if we just say that one thing, they are in violation of a congressional mandate, therefore they no longer have immunity. It does away with the law rule in 2010. It takes us back to 1985, so that now they are liable. Now, because they are liable, that also means the CDC, the regulatory authority, and the FDA also, that they are liable. Now you have to take into account everything that's happened in the past 33 years based on their original false claims and their failure to perform, because the burden of proof is on them. Now, the reason why I'm saying all these things is so everybody here who knows somebody who's in common law can give this to their common law person who is going to tear it apart, tell me all the places I'm wrong, and I'll tell you what, have them contact me. I will let them cuss me out in the first 30 minutes, and then let's figure out how to do it right. But I'm right.
Again,
this is right.
Again, in your papers, you have to show evidence of their non-compliance, and they say, all right. So, but again, as you have what they don't have, you have the proof they don't have. So that's a violation right there. And every attack, in order to be, you have to do it as a barrage. Each one of our grievances have to be addressed in its own paper. And all papers must be addressed with laws that they're common law, their statutes. That they not statutes, they're precedents. You got to understand that the statute laws, codes, and ordinances. Statute laws are made by the legislature of the state, and you also and the codes are put together by organizations like the UCC, which is the accountants, and then you have the codes of the Board of Education codes. You have education codes, you have criminal codes, you have motor vehicle codes, and then you have ordinances which are only applied to the local municipality. If you can't piss in the street, it's against the law. And if you can't use a microphone unless you have a permit, these are common ordinances. But any hindrance on you, it's for the betterment of the peace. But the real thing is that anything is made, eliminating my ability to communicate is an infringement. And he's got a Second Amendment right. Every man has the right to carry have his own weapon and be part of the unregulated militia. And some people want to eliminate guns. I'll tell you, Georgia, a state that
Wait,
says
Jay, come back. What's that to do with what I just laid out?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just asking. It might have something to do with it. I could be wrong. I just want to make sure that you know. I want to bring it back because what you're doing right now is exactly proving my point. That the problem is all of the common law guys. You guys know so much. The problem is you're not putting pieces together. So I'm trying. Don't be wrong. Lots of people have. I know you have. What I'm saying is the missing piece is all the people coming together. It has to be clear to everyone why we're doing it. Because this right here has even the vaccines. Right. So even the vaccines, right, which you could be pro or for vaccines, it doesn't matter. Are you pro having the right to practice whatever your personal ethical belief is in your life and having that freedom? Because that freedom is being taken away. And we've already had 2 state governments take it. So that means if you don't want your child to be taught that pedophilia is a normal sexual practice in school, if you don't want your child to think that there's 17 genders.
Who's teaching that now? May I ask?
They're teaching it in California. It's actually part of it. They're actually implementing it as early as preschool. They're actually teaching sexual activity such as fisting, which is a very rough version of something that my child, my 6-year-old, does not need to know. There's also things like bloodletting. They're talking about anal sex. They're talking about all types of versions of intercourse and different things to do. They're talking about this with very young kids on a level, normalizing it. That's happening now. That's happening all over the place. The same way that in Washington, D.C., they actually had all the librarians, right, are supposed to come together for this big conference that happened over the summer. When they brought them there, they actually taught a class on how to sneak a drag queen in. So for story time for the kids. To have the drag queen come in, have them dress normal, have them get dressed in their drag outfit in the bathroom after the parents leave. Insist that the child is allowed to be in there for story time and they're safe, right? So you create a false sense of safe environment. Then you sneak in the drag queen to tell the story. They actually taught this, right? This is what's being taught. Now imagine if this happens, how anybody would feel, especially being that one of these drag queens we know was a convicted had convicted sexual offenses on record already. Now, your ability to grieve that, or your right to grieve that, is tied up going back to the vaccines, because the vaccine laws here in New York just took your religious freedom and ultimately took your right to make an ethical decision if that's something you want or you don't. Now, you might want that. You should have a choice.
Right.
Because this is being taken, they're going to make it law. They can make whatever they want laws now.
This is exactly what I've been personally just saying, just briefly, this is exactly what I've been saying. Everyone's really got to set aside their differences. I think everybody's starting to really wake up and, there's some stuff blatantly going wrong. Humanity is being set up against itself by small, rogue, nefarious agents and stuff. Just coming together, learning to speak as one voice and setting aside our differences and saying, yes, I respect your opinion for what it is. yes, I acknowledge your differences, but I'm going to set aside my opinion on them because what I see in front of me is a need that needs to be filled. There's a starving person, there's a poisoned child, etc., etc. Now let's just come together and connect the dots, as Tank and others are saying, putting the pieces together, coming together and speaking as one voice. They can't ignore that forever.
Well, that's true. Under one banner, under one flag, under one purpose, and the point I brought out with the 21 rocks is the council, and we have to bring the major players of the movement together.
So
it's not about ego.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry, Jason. Let me just add something to this, because once you start saying that we have to do it under one banner, one group, I think what's most important, because you get into a lot of ego and things like that, and it's hard to get everyone to listen and whatever. I think if we're clear about just the message, all the groups can participate in the message, and the tactics may be their own, right? But if we can basically focus on the one thing, and whatever they want to do to go towards that, we can talk about the different suggestions about which way to go. And one group may decide, well, we're going to do it like this, and off they go, and wonderful, because that's what resonates and how they can do it. But if we can bring the message down into just what that is, if it's the vaccines, and that's where we're going to focus, is like, this is the one thing that we have to focus on, and these are all the reasons why. I think focusing on the message, I think, is the most important thing.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah. I appreciate that perspective.
Now, excuse me. But I'll say, and Dan, I agree. Now, for this particular issue right now, why I think, and this is just my case, by the way. Now, everybody out there, I welcome intelligent discussion and, considerate arguments on this, right? We can present this and have a conversation. But there's certain things we really don't have to argue about at all. We all agree. I want to be able to make decisions about what's right and wrong for my children, period. And you do too. We all agree that we have the right to, however we want to, celebrate our spirituality, our connection with God, our connection with community, that we have the right to do that as long as we don't hurt anybody else. These things are established. That's why we live here, period. Right? These are not up for discussion. We don't even have to argue that. So now we have that out of the way, and believe me, I know some people love to argue, so they're going to say, well, actually, the way you say that is this. I don't care about that. I'm speaking to the spirit of the law, not the letter right now. So in the spirit of the law, what we all agree is that we came here to be free. This is the land of the free, right? The home of the brave. We came here to be liberated. Now, if we want liberation, a part of that liberation is we all have to focus on what matters. Now, if we look at what matters, there is nothing that matters more than your ethical rights, your conscience rights, your right to follow your conscience. And if you don't want to teach your child certain things because you don't agree with them, because it violates your ethics and it violates what you are morally convicted in, then you need to have that right to be free. Because if you don't, they can dictate everything else to you. So now with that, to Dan's point, absolutely. Every one of these organizations from every state, every county, however this has to happen within the constitutional, structure, they have that freedom. But what I'm asking for, humbly, with everything in me, please share this with your people. Come together. Can we just come together for one issue right now? If we could just come together as a collective, if we could just get people to stand up together, if we could just stand up, we'd realize we're all bowing down to something that's no greater than any one of us, let alone could ever stand in the face of all of us. If we could just get everybody from the National Assembly and the National Liberty Alliance and the Bear Law Group and whoever else considers themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, who knows these things so well that as I'm talking about this, they're disgusted because I'm not getting the things right. Come correct me. Come correct me, please. Tell me how to do it right. I'll take correction. I'll do it right. Whatever you need, tell me how to do it. But you're all ghosts. You're nowhere to be seen
Mhm.
because you got beat up by the courts, and all you've done is defend yourself. And what I'm talking about is taking the step against them. And if we bring the fight to them and we keep coming, and we come in every county in every state, and we say we will not let you do this. If we do that, and we just agree, we're all going to do it the same way. And as soon as we make it work once, you know what will happen? Everything will change. Then you can go back to your counties and run your court the way you want, and do whatever you want. But let's just break it down first. Let's get the wolf out of the hen house. Let's take Dracula out of the blood bank, and let's move forward.
That sounds like simultaneous defense and attack right there.
Simultaneous. What I want to do, and I've been talking about this constantly, and I'm telling you, share this. Tell people. There are 6 aspects that need to happen, all in relative proximity to one another. But there are 3 right now that we are poised to release all at the same time, but we need everybody, and I don't mean that figuratively. I mean you have a role to play, everybody. We need to address the law. The law of the land is the Constitution. You have never had a president in position who was ever more of an advocate than President Donald Trump is. And I don't care what you think of him, he's advocating for the people's rights every single day. The people that hate him, they are in a trance because of rote repetition being fed to them by the mass media. But regardless, there's enough. What's that?
And he's encouraging that in other countries as well.
That's right. Now, in this, I saw Joe Biden in his coward, useless self. He said today, I remember when we had a president we could look up to. He's there with Barack Obama. Let me tell you the difference. What President Trump has done, he's made it so none of us have to be with our face in the ground, on our knees, forced to look up to anyone. What he's done is he's given us permission to stand up and look at him right in the eye and stand with him. And we don't have to look up to anybody. We have to look forward. We have to be able to stand up. And if we just do that, do something about it. This is the first time. Everybody who got beat down before, everybody who lost, everyone who thinks, you can't beat them, you can't fight City Hall, it's because it was the wrong time. But this is the time. So the first thing is the law. So we have lawsuits going all over the country, all over the state. But I'm telling you, the one that takes down the machine is the vaccines. Because through the vaccines, we can expose. Now, so here, the first thing is law. The second thing is the health care. Here's why. Can you imagine? You're trying to talk to somebody in a house being tortured. And around them are sirens that are blaring so loud they can't even think straight. That's how they're being tortured. The first thing you have to do is turn off the sirens. So you've got fluoride in our water. You know what? We have precedents right now. Here in New York State, I have the 2018 water report. And it says the water is toxic. There's more lead in this water than was in Flint, Michigan, when the whole country was up in arms about it. And right here in the Bronx, the water's worse. And you know what they say? They say there's an easy fix. Stop putting fluoride in the water. That was the advice of the water authority. Now, why hasn't that been done? That's something we can get an injunction on right now because it's causing problems. Because we know fluoride is a poison. We know it is. It's on our toothpaste.
It's true. It just makes the people know that that affects our pituitary gland, which makes us more susceptible to be more suggestive by the establishment. And by drinking more pure water from ionized or osmosis, you're getting the poisons out of your body. There's also chlorine, which is another poison that we use. So it's chlorine and fluoride. And fluoride was developed by the Nazis to try to make the Jews more docile. But it wasn't working fast enough, and they came up with a final solution. Back to you, Dan. And thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks. Just a quick
Now,
question.
I've talked to this guy like 4 times. Give everybody. Now,
Sorry.
here we go. So here's the thing.
The
Point is this. So you have multiple things going on at the same time. Now, we don't even need to go the route of things that people can't accept or they won't believe because they think it's conspiracy theory, right? You start talking about fluoride and the Nazis and how it's making people more suggestible. They're going to be like, oh, pish posh, that's not possible. Why? Because they're probably calcifying all types of fluoride, right? That's causing all the soft tissue to be calcified and preventing certain amounts of oxygen in the brain to allow them to operate in a maximum potential. Now that's true. We know that. But in the meantime, can we just agree that it's poison? Because we all know what it is. It's iron in toothpaste, right? We can all prove that. There's plenty of studies.
Yeah.
So first, we know it's poison. We can stop that. We can stop the chemtrails in the air.
Yeah, it's written on
the environmental.
It's written on the toothpaste. You're correct.
That's right.
You know, I'm just. I
Go
say,
ahead, man.
no, I just say that there's so many of these things that are so simple, but we need to focus on just getting that simple message across, and that's what I agree with you, Tank. Is that it's really, you know, keep it very simple. Getting down into the weeds and all these issues means that we're too busy discussing all the nuances and all the tangents and everything else. So focusing
That's
on,
right.
hey, you know, why are you allowing toothpaste that has fluoride in it on the market? You know,
Period.
Period.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Okay, it hardens your teeth, calcifying your teeth. Okay, great. I don't care. It's poison. Stop.
Yes, it is.
And the new studies just came out that said it lowers IQ. You know.
Yeah.
So now, the first three things: the law, and what I mean by this, I'm going to say healthcare, but I don't mean healthcare the way they use it. I mean actually addressing immediate violations of our constitutional rights, which are currently taking place right now, that we can easily prove using, you know, RICO lawsuits or anything else, and we can use that as a venue to stop these things immediately, such as imposing vaccines on people, which we have no results that they even work, because there's no studies done that are proper that show they work. So healthcare, right? Real healthcare, actually caring about humans' health, and I mean the actual ability for humanity to thrive, to be healthy, to heal themselves, to achieve their maximum potential, to realize who they actually are. That is healthcare. That's healthcare that actually teaches people how to take care of themselves, right? Those two things have to happen at the same time because you have to be able to let people hear. At the same time, you launch simultaneous attacks with lawsuits, with criminal charges, with common law courts all over the country, in every county, in every possible way you can, and you organize so that it's such an operation. It's so overwhelming, no one can ignore it because we are much stronger. We are. What do you say? 300 times or 200 times as many as them. There's 2 of them for every 300 of us. So you take that piece. So you have the law, you have the healthcare, right? Now, from here, the next thing is the most obvious one, the one we think that everything hinges on, is money. The entire financial system has been repurposed, redirected, and it is now the trust, the actual source of income for the government and for the people, for every corporation, is in distribution mode. Now, I'm telling you, this is my sincere belief. Part of the reason why this money has taken so long to get to the people is because we have not cared enough or took it upon ourselves to take responsibility to organize these efforts so it can come out. So the environment is not safe because everyone thinks the money will come out and we'll just wait, we'll spend it the way we always do on corporate structures. They'll take it back from us and they'll put us right back into slavery.
Yep.
Those three things have to come out. Here's what I'm saying. The reason why I'm so emphatic about doing this is because I'm not here to be a radio personality. I'm not trying to do this so I can be famous or collect money off advertising. I'm doing this because I want to change the world. And I want you, and I can't change the world without everybody else. Now, if we're going to change the world, we've got to have these pieces ready because the money's about to drop. So the money's about to drop, and I'll tell you, our course of action should be no different. The next move, we need to organize these assemblies, these common law courts throughout the entire country. In this, it will become very clear the necessity and the need to have a militia. Now, the next stage is we have to take care of our veterans so that they can care for and train, they can be cared for, and they can train a civilian militia that understands what we're up against. Because that's essential. Because you need to have a civilian militia that knows they have the right to bear arms, and nobody can take that right. At the same time, you need to have mass media companies, right? Real mainstream media companies that are in the control of the people, speaking the truth and bound by constitutional law, and in their efforts, they will expose the truth about what's really going on, and they have to be of equal or better quality of production as all of these mainstream outlets. You have to do that at the same time. These things need to be in place. Now I'm telling you, I put a lot of this stuff in place already, but it doesn't matter how much money you have if people aren't tuned in, if they're still able to control the message getting out. So we have to get this out. How are you going to get it out? Share it with everybody. Tell everybody you know, because I'm telling you, we already have this authority to revitalize communities throughout the United States. I've already got the paperwork, the approved grant funding, the real signature from the highest authority on the planet. And you think about what it'll take to revitalize a community. What will it take that you need to be able to have a voice where you can speak your mind? What will it take that somebody's telling you the truth? What will it require that you have the best kind of help? What will it require that you have trained civilian militia that you know are connected to you, that you know if everything goes down, if everything doesn't go away, that there's a line, and that you've all agreed you'll not cross this line, and you're trained and ready for it. Now, it doesn't mean you ever have to fight. You don't ever have to fire a gun. I love this gentleman when he shared his testimony about how the British were, beaten back from by the Massachusetts militia, and they beat them back. He said, all the way back to Boston. And you know what he said next? It blew my mind. I don't know how he said they never fired a shot. Just by their sheer will, the collective will, and the energy of those men and women that they said, we stand together, you will not cross this line. They beat them back with energy. That's what makes the difference. We don't need to be caught up in every little bullshit nuance. What we need to do is stay focused on the purpose of what we're doing and how we can change this. Now,
and apply our own personal willpower to that. Our own personal, and wanting to, again, I agree with Dan when he says, just coming together for one particular purpose for one thing, and not just, making it a hierarchy or a battle of who's in charge or whatever, I agree with everybody in on this. I'm very, very grateful. I'm actually getting ready to head out here. I wanted to just thank everybody for letting me come in on the call. This is incredible stuff. And thank you very much. And let's start coming together and standing up and speaking, guys. It was incredible, and have an amazing night, huh?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
We do, Andrew. Thank you so much. Good point.
So now this whole thing, the reason why the vaccine is the way in. Right now, I'm making my case. If somebody's got a better one, you go ahead. But I'm telling you, I have the evidence already on all levels to prove, beyond a shadow of doubt, who's liable and how to take them out. I know, according to the Constitution, even according to the current laws, all the evidence is there if given an opportunity, and I think RICO is the best way to go, and I could be wrong, but I'll tell you what I need is help. What I'm saying is this. That works, right? We can do that. Now, the reason why the vaccine is the best way to go is because now you start to go to the CDC and the FDA, and now there's all types of other charges that can be filed. Why didn't you do this? Not only that, why have you told everyone that these things create immunity? Why have you... Now you have to get down to the heart and the intent of what they're really doing. And what you do is now you expose that they are owned by the United Nations and not by the United States. That they are owned by a foreign agency, and they are here, and they are terrorists on our land. Yeah. And now when you establish that they're terrorists who have been given the authority to govern what we eat, what we drink, what is medicine, what is not, now you have to take it all the way back to the AMA and ask them, why have you buried repeated cures? Because we have that too. We have those records as well. So now when you do this, what it does is it unravels the whole system, because everything else starts to fall apart because you set a new standard. Because the new standard is not the one set by the order who is trying to kill us. It's set by the people who refuse to die. Now that's why we go this way.
Thank you. You could send your what papers you have. Let me take a look at it. At least I have it in my quill, and I'll be able to send it out to the people in the network that I can get in contact with. So
Jason,
the thing is,
send them this link. Jason, you can send them this link. Go ahead and send them this link. Every single thing I just told you is public knowledge. It is available on public venues. And I'll tell you what, we know, you and I both know, these individuals, the researchers for common law, they're the kind of people that they won't believe it until they hear it in their own voice. So you know what? I just gave them every piece of information that they need to take the system down. Everything anybody needs in any one of these courts, even if they do it by themselves, I just gave them everything. I gave them the exact methodology to do it. The only thing I missed was the Nuremberg Code. The Nuremberg Code where it says they violate our informed consent, right?
Right.
Because they're experimenting on us and tell us all these other possible side effects. It's not in their PI. It doesn't mention that this could cause autism. It doesn't mention that the government paid out because it did cause autism. We know that. It doesn't mention that.
And
so that
the numbers are new. It's unbelievable. The ratio used to be like 1 in 100 or more, and it's just gone down to that. It's 1 in 10. It's unbelievable how that has affected. You know, people don't realize that autism is caused by the lead and
mercury
and another ingredient, mercury. Yes, in there. The body cannot exhume them out of the body quick enough, and that causes the retardation of that individual. And it's horrendous. My own niece, 21, has died at the age of 2, and she almost died because of the poisons in the body. And it's horrendous. It's horrific. And then the parents are stuck with these children who are damaged by the system, and it's a shame.
Dr. Rima has proven that autism would not even, actually, Dr. Rima, there's another doctor too, his name escapes me, has proven autism would not even exist if it wasn't for vaccines. And if it is if it's a disorder that you're born with, then why are kids developing at age 4 and 5?
right.
Because that's when it gets the stomach.
Yeah, we know. That's the point. It was kind of a rhetorical question.
I answered it.
Yeah, you did.
But yes, Jason, you're right. So now the point is, Jason, I'll tell you what, I'll do this even one better. I'm going to, we have been working on this for a little while to make sure the language is right. We have the letter just about completed that we can go through this to show what the grievance is that we are filing, why there is a necessity for the people to call a grand jury, because the court system is in breach of trust of the people.
Right.
The reason why is that their job and their duty is to uphold the Constitution. So is Congress's, by the way. And they are not doing that. Currently, Congress is working to pass laws and acts, not to amend the Constitution, but to do away with our constitutional rights altogether. Yeah. And that is the terrifying reality that we're all faced with.
And the news will not report it.
Well, and again, when they do that with the law, it's called under the color law, and that's a felony. And the case law on that is there. And I use that extensively. Again, I held back pretty hard much, and I think the vaccines is the key to the fight. But my point is that if you can have as many spears in the fire, they won't know what to do with it because it will be too hot for them to pull it out. And
they'll do nothing with it. See, here lies the problem. They do nothing. They do it all the time. You've got Hillary Clinton. They call a grand jury on Hillary Clinton here in New York. They charged her with so many things. By the time they were done, I think they sentenced her to death. Nobody even knows that happened because they didn't do anything with it.
Oh, you mean? Well, again, if the evidence was there, they didn't let that come out. That's a felony right in itself is not following the necessary report to the community and acting in its best interest of the execution of its orders.
Okay, that's a great point. So let me ask you. You've got experience in this. Let me ask you. Why was nothing done then?
Because you're right. I mean, like I was indicted. Just for the people out there, I was indicted in August 7th, 2015, on 2 counts of assault and something the federal people with from doing their job. And the only thing I did was insist that I had my First Amendment right abused, my Fourth Amendment right abused. And
why wasn't Hillary Clinton charged?
Because of the influence. Because of the influence. And you got to find out.
How about this? How about because of the indifference of the people? How about because not enough people stood up, and because the trial it was all done in secret, everything was private, and nobody even really knows what happened.
That was, as far as I'm concerned, as a common law person, that should have been out in the front. If that was held in private, you can't hold a private hearing on someone who's public. And if that went down, right there is enough for treason.
There you go. You're absolutely right. Now, this is the problem with all of these. The reason why we have failed as a collective, and the reason why we don't. I'm telling you, we don't have the right. Look, you talked about God being with you. Now, you tell me. You think God's going to take the excuse that there was only 7 billion of us, God, and they had 2 million people and they drugged us? No, I'm sorry. They won't. God's not going to take that excuse. I mean, based on the way that you described it, right? Now, so what it comes down to is our indifference is not an excuse, and this is not something we can be indifferent about. Whether you have kids or not, vaccines affect all of us. This is authorizing the same type of Nazi trials they used during the Holocaust. And they've been using it on soldiers and groups all over the world ever since. The World War II, we keep thinking that we reigned supreme and liberty won, but it did not. We brought those scientists here. There is CIA documentation on this that anybody can look up on CIA.gov. Go to the library, you'll see.
Operation Paperclip.
Right?
And the CIA is also Nazi occupied.
Well, it's even the Nazis were just a cabal arm, right? They were just created for the purpose of creating the war situation to put a wedge into the Middle East through the creation of the State of Israel. And this goes back then, to what their ultimate plan was, which was laid out in a World War III scenario, and also the creation of communism. I mean, it's all an intricate plan. So it's amazing to think that, but it's been written. It's in their books. This is what our plan is. This is what we're doing, and they keep moving forward on their plan.
Right, we got to stop them.
And it's not a conspiracy. It's written in their well. I mean, they are conspiring against us, and that they've written it out though to say that it's a theory. No, it's a fact that they wrote it in their books. You can read it. Many have.
That's right.
So to label one side or the other side, it's all them against us, and them is a very small them. It's a very small group.
Well, of course it is.
But
so now I have heard this. I've heard it said that people don't have a plan. And I'm telling you that's not true.
Right.
We do have a plan. Now what we don't have is enough people yet. We don't have enough people bought in. Now, what we need is everyone to take personal responsibility to say I can do something. Now, like you can hit me up on Telegram, Tank96, TANK96. You can send an email, Stephen Rao, STEFFENROWE @gmail.com. I'm sure these things are available on thespeakproject.net. I'm sure you can go to gocamelot.com. I know you go to createchange.today. Every one of these, there's a way to contact me. Now, I've gone to 20 different websites with these different kind of law groups. I have sent out about 40 emails. I have made about 20 calls, and I have yet to speak to anybody but Jason who contacted me directly. Now, and Ron Davis actually, we talked to. But my point in saying this is that if they want change, and I'm off base, please contact me, let me know. I'll take correction, and if you got an answer, man, I'll follow you. But in the meantime, I'm giving everybody a solution. You can apply this. You can take it and take credit for it. That's fine with me too. Because my goal is not to be a hero about this. My goal is freedom. What I want is to be free. I want you to be free, and I think you deserve it, so why? And I'm saying, but if you want it, you got to stand up for it. I am. And we are taking action. We're not just talking. So I'm encouraging everyone to do the same.
Here, here.
Now, I'd love to bring us all under one banner, as one collective, one powerful voice, so strong that nobody could stand in the face of it. If you want freedom, you are going to have to own it. You're going to have to act free. You can't wait around for somebody to tell you that it's okay. Dan says this. That's one of the most powerful things Dan ever said. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anybody's permission.
Well, here's something. It's scoring for peace. It sounds like an oxymoron. But you cannot go on any action without the fervor of the heart of the movement. But the thing is that makes the peace movement of the peace walks genuine is that we just want to make our life purposeful and to serve our system of creeds to make sure that when we pass, we have to say, I did that. And that was such a great accomplishment that I did something positive in my lifetime. And that's what we got to be proud to be part of the human race. Back to you, Tim.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Jay, I like it.
I got it good.
I appreciate it. So, anyways, that's all. That's all I got, Dan.
Yeah, well, I think we're good. We're at 2 hours. We're usually at an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes, but we're at 2 hours. It's all right. We covered quite a lot, and we'll be back tomorrow. So please, let's stay focused and get on the virus, the vaccine virus bandwagon. Let's stop this because it is a virus. They're trying to infect us. All right? They're trying to stop us, all right, by eliminating our ability to reproduce, and to hamper us with giving our children illnesses. Right? It's we can all agree that this is bad, and we can from wherever we're at, we can agree to try and stop this.
A factoid is that the generation, the baby boomers, are dying earlier than their parents, and it's scary. I'm 66 with 3 cancers, and I'm just beating the odds. But I still have to beat my mother at 92.
Yeah.
But it's there.
All right. Well, let's wind this down. All right. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Hey Dan, I'm just gonna.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna read this. I'm gonna read this one last thing because I thought. This is.
It's okay. We've got another hour.
No, it's okay. We're reading it right now. So it's Mary Ann Williamson. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great night. Dan, appreciate you as always. Jay, thanks for coming on, man.
All right.
Thank you, thank God.
Yes, thanks. Good you made it on. That's great.
Thank you. It's good to be here anytime. Thank you.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Subscribe, share.